I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:32. And if you'll join me with the Pledge of Allegiance back here, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
You were too fast. Couldn't jump up that quick. Show me it. Thank you.
I need no wheels. Thank you. All right, I'm in place. Okay, so if we can get an adoption of the agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda for the date of February 20th, 2024 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, next item of business is our recognitions, proclamations. Anybody have anything to share on that side over there? Randy, Sandy, Susan?
Yes, I want to say congratulations to the wrestling team. And I actually I've been driving to campus more often on the high school campus, and I saw the signs they hung up in the driveway wishing them luck, and that was really cool. So congratulations to all our state wrestlers. That was really awesome. And I think that's all I got for today.
Thank you, Susan. Ron?
But yeah, the wrestling team, don't know what the results were, but well, you have that. And then Daisy Smith signing the letter of intent for softball.
Oh, yeah.
Is pretty cool.
That is cool. Dr. Remanini?
Thank you, Mr. Malio. I have a few things. First, I want to go back a couple of weeks to our Future Business Leaders Association, our FBLA club, recently participated in a competition, and Miley Hauser and Aspen Klink scored first place for their presentation and event planning project. Tel Grantham was placed first for his agriculture business project. Miley Hauser and Vicki Gonzalez placed third for their presentation on social media strategies, and the chapter won first place for their chapter sign. So they represented us very well. I also want to congratulate Peyton Cotting, who finished 5th place at the state wrestling tournament. Peyton is the first ever women's wrestler from Wickenburg to place in a state tournament competition for wrestling. So go girls. Congratulations also to our men's wrestling team. Carson and Jackson Hone placed 4th each in their weight classes at the state. So good representation at the state. Congratulations to all of them, and also to those who are starting to sign on. Lots of students are starting to sign and making commitments to colleges. I do want to shout out Hacienda Elementary, who once again participated in the annual Gold Rush Days Parade. So they always represent us well. So the kids had a lot of fun for that. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
I do have one thing. I don't have my own book. To the girl and the guy who I have it written down for the rifle team.
Oh, I don't. Mr. Gorman, I don't have rifle team results.
Yeah, there was one of the
Let me find my paper.
I did read that in the paper, and I don't remember.
Okay, let me look. Elizabeth, who came in 2nd, and Austin, who came in 3rd.
Yep.
those were at the national team.
Yes.
I believe that was it. I just wrote them down because I love the rifle team.
And we had quite a few students in the Gold Rush Parade for various activities. That was so fun to see them just representing different organizations in the community and businesses, and I mean just lots of students in the parade. That was fun.
Well, good. Thank you. All right, so we have our first presentation tonight, and that is the Wickenburg High School Future Farmers of America chapter. Welcome.
Yeah, come on up. Here we go.
All right, well, thank you for welcoming us down here tonight. My name is Trevor Morgan. I was the FFA Agriculture Advisor for these students going to nationals. And so right here we have Grace
Hi, I'm Grace.
Forensic, Ella Clark, Cole Gibson, and Bryce Shields. And so mostly we want to thank you for the emergency meeting so that they were able to take the travel back to Indianapolis, and they had an amazing opportunity back there and did very well in the competition, and they'd like to share a little bit of their experience with you. Thank you. I'll turn it over. Let's go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm Grace. I'm the president this year. I'm a senior in high school, so this will be my last year. So for a little bit of a recap, for those of you that don't know, FFA stands for Future Farmers of America. We compete in a lot of agricultural competitions. So us specifically, we competed in meats evaluation. We competed at the regional level first, then we made it to state level, and once we won state level, we got to go to the national level, which is hosted in Indianapolis. It is the 96th year that we competed in, which was very big for us. A lot of people show up to the convention every year. FFA is represented in every single state and some U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, so we got to meet a lot of new people. Ms. Jordan, if you want to switch the slide. Ella will talk a little bit about our competition.
So we competed in the meat science and technology and had to travel to Purdue and the giant meat lockers at that university. During our event, we had to ID retail cuts and yield grade. And in our team activity, we had to do like carcass ID with the anatomy of the carcass and how it all puts together. And we competed in like 30-degree temperatures with 200 other FFA members.
Yeah, so just to kind of put it into scope, there was hanging like full-size carcasses hanging up out of these fridges, these lockers, and they were each room was about the size of this room, each locker, yeah, and there was multiple different ones. We got to see over 15 hanging carcasses.
Giant dead cows.
Yeah, like huge, like just like giant dead cows. We had to calculate yield grade, which means we have to, like, if you're familiar with yielding of crops, so it's the amount of good that you get from a yield, which would be the red meat. So you calculate how much good red meat there is in a ribeye, and that determines how good the cow is.
Carcasses.
Yeah. So we got to do that for both just looking at a ribeye and looking at an entire carcass. Those were our individual competitions. There was also a team evaluation, which is what Ella described as the anatomy. So they would have different carcasses laying on a table with pins in them and numbers. And then on our paper, we would have to label what bone it is, what muscle it is, or what tendon it is. So each of us placed individually because there are individual competitions, and we also placed as a team. So me, Cole, and Haley both placed bronze, and then as a team we placed bronze, but Ella placed silver individually.
Great job.
Yeah, she's amazing. So individually, one of the biggest parts of the meats evaluation is identifying cuts of meat. So identifying this is a T-bone, this is a porterhouse, this is what kind of flank steak, stuff like that. Yeah, and then so on the sheet you put where on the cow, where on the pig, where on the lamb.
You have to do your species, your retail ID, and the primal.
Yeah.
And cookery.
And cookery too. So we have to know a wide scope of information on not only the animal but how you cook it as well. All of this wouldn't be possible without Hunter from Capital Farms. He helped us over countless days. Every Thursday we would go over to Capital Farms and we would go after they close, and he would teach us everything we know.
He had a whole slideshow from back in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would do so many things, like we would do retail cuts and we'd compete to have a ribeye.
Yeah.
And
I won the ribeye.
Yeah, she won the ribeye, of course.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not only silver, he got the ribeye.
Yes. So she won both ways. In our free time, so none of us have been to Indianapolis before, and it was kind of like all of our first times traveling outside of Arizona with like a school group, you know, and we had a little bit of like a
Awakening.
An awakening, yeah. It was so much fun. It was freezing there. It's probably like max 30 degrees every day, and all of us did not bring enough clothes.
Always brought one of these jackets.
Yeah, we did not have enough clothes. As you can see, we traveled in our official dress, so we were walking through the airports in our blues, and we got a lot of compliments from people saying we're very professional. One gentleman on the plane told us that, Mr. Morgan, you remember the story.
Oh, he says, I believe this is the last youth leadership group that can speak for themselves and conduct a conversation.
Yeah.
They're sitting in the business, first class, they're businessmen traveling to Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
And everywhere we'd walk, they go, "Oh, I remember when I was in FFA. Oh, that's so amazing. You guys are so cool.
Where are you
You
from?"
look so nice. Yeah, where are you from? Can you not tell? Like, yeah.
Sorry, you can't be through my hair.
Yeah, no, literally. A lot of times, like, it was a really great experience to just kind of spread what FFA is, because, like, everyone would be asking us, "What are you wearing? Like, who are you? Like, where are you from?" Yeah, and just in Indianapolis itself, we tried new food, we met new people. Everywhere you go, there were students in FFA jackets. The whole town was full of them. And kids would walk up to you and be like, "Oh, you're from Arizona. Can you turn around? I need a picture of your jacket." Or they'd be like, "Can you sign my shirt?"
Yeah, because they were collecting states.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so their advisors would give them T-shirts with each state on it, and then they'd have to get someone from that state to sign off, or they'd have to take a picture with them, like stuff like that. And it was really cool, like a treasure hunt kind of. Yeah. So at the competition, there was a huge convention center that was probably the size of like a football stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was full of vendors and stores and also colleges who were just there to represent themselves for FFA. A couple colleges would be
Yeah, like there was
Wyotech,
ASU was there.
Texas A&M.
A&M. There was,
there's a couple really big ones I can't remember.
what else was there?
Basically every
There
university.
were a bunch of trade schools.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
All kinds of trade schools were there.
Oh, yeah, also, when we were on the plane, it was me and Haley and then a random man, okay? And, like, I'm going to talk to the random man next to me. And he was standing there, and he noticed that we were wearing FFA jackets, and he goes, "Oh, you're at FFA?" And I was like,
Yes.
"How do you know? How do you tell?" And he goes, "Are you thinking about going to college?" And I was like, "Yeah," I shared in my plans. And he goes, "Well, why don't you think about Texas?" And he handed me his card, and he was the Dean of Agricultural Science of Texas A&M.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, and then, so it was
He
amazing.
ended up helping put on our competition.
Yeah, he introduced us to the man who was in charge of our competition. So it was really cool to make a
Awesome.
connection there. Yeah.
I was in the airport, we were waiting for our bags around the carousel, and he walked up to us, he's like, "I remember you."
Yeah.
And then
And I was like,
the guy from Purdue walked up and was talking to the guy, and then he's like, "These guys are competing in meets." And we're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, because we had to go all the way to Purdue College to compete for meets, and it was, how long was that?
I was asleep.
Yeah, it was freezing cold.
The AC was on for some reason.
Yeah, when I tell you guys, we had so many layers on. I had 2 shirts on, 2 jackets on, my FFA jacket, and a smock, and a hairnet, and a hard hat on, and I was still cold in the meat locker. So, and I had 2 pairs of pants on.
I braved it.
Yeah, you did.
Well, it sounds like you guys had a wonderful experience, not only in your competition, but in meeting other people and traveling and going
Making
around
connections.
Indiana and
That's so
seeing a
great.
whole another part of the country. And first, I have to tell you, I love your jackets.
Thank you.
Those are really nice.
They are.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. And it sounds like you represented us very well. And we should be proud of all of you.
Thank you.
So I've got a question.
One more slide.
You're a senior?
Yes, sir.
One more slide, that's okay.
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore? Wow.
Senior.
So I have more people coming up. Good.
Mhm.
All right. I interrupted your slide, go ahead.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I don't, it's my meeting.
We love questions. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so this week we have our next competition coming up. It is our
Spring conference.
yeah, our
where we
spring
will
conference.
compete in forestry and floriculture.
Yeah, so it's our state conference.
And you're competing in what events?
Floriculture and forestry.
Yes.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
So do different people from your group, like you guys went to the meet.
Right.
Will someone else go to the forestry or?
Right now, we'll be competing in both.
Yeah.
Because Ag 2 is really the only ones that compete right now.
Yeah. And because we competed on the national level for meets evaluation, we are not allowed to compete again. Yeah.
Unless it's at collegiate level.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So that's why we're kind of switching gears to floriculture, which is flowers and flower arrangements and stuff, and then forestry, which is like trees, obviously.
You'll be able to decorate the table where you put those beautiful steaks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could put on a whole dinner.
So, obviously you have a cooler someplace for the samples for the board, right? Those steaks?
You got ribeyes in the
The
back?
ribeyes?
Not tonight.
Next question.
You forgot something, huh?
Maybe we can have a barbecue sometime.
That's right.
All right.
Well, great job,
Hey.
guys.
I see on your slide there, the last one, where's the summer camp?
For president, where is it, president?
It's a wonderful question. Where?
I think they were posted in Prescott this summer, I believe.
Yeah, they change it almost every
Okay.
year. Yeah.
Okay.
I think last year was at Buckeye Union High School. So,
So on your meat judging, the carcasses, was it only beef?
no, so we had pork, beef, and lamb.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
to do the yield grade, it was only beef.
Yeah, yield grade was only beef, red meat. So we got to see hanging pigs and hanging cows and hanging lambs.
The pig heads were the scariest when it was just on a table.
Yeah, because they would just kind of like cut pieces
And
of
then
the
the
animal
tongue
and
would be
leave
like
it there.
hanging off.
Yeah.
So have you been to a butcher shop?
Yeah, but it was surprising when you walked in the locker and all it was a dead pig.
Well, and you
skull.
never forget the smell either.
Yeah.
Like it's never gonna leave my brain. I know like the Purdue students were the ones who cut the processed the meat for us for our competition, which was really nice. So and the Purdue college students were the ones who were kind of leading the competition the whole time, which was cool.
They looked cold as well.
Yeah, they looked cold. But one of them told me that she got used to it, and so she wasn't even wearing a jacket. She was wearing like a tank top underneath her smock.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mine had a puffer coat and a beanie.
Yeah. Yeah, all of us got split up between the competitions, so we would like rotate, and I would just like see yellow, and I'd be like,
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm so cold.
It looks like your summer camp is in Heber, Arizona this summer. I Googled.
Oh.
Okay.
nice. So for that that camp, seniors aren't allowed, but everyone who is going to be an FFA next year can. So
Seniors can be counselors.
yeah,
That's
You have to sign
fun.
up for it.
Yeah.
So are you going to be a counselor?
Are you guys going to go into ag in college?
I had thought about like adding like mechanics. and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Where do you live now?
no, I'm going for mechanical engineering.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, which could lead into an ag career.
True.
So yeah.
And you're going to be a butcher.
Maybe. Thought about it.
She's got a few more years, so we're still good.
A florist butcher.
Anybody else have questions for our
Good
dynamic
forest
group?
butcher.
No,
I got 2 months.
I'm good.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you very
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so item C, our first principal report is from Vulture Peak Middle School, and our principal, Mrs. Anne Marie Davy. Good evening.
Good evening. It's great to see you. Hello, board. Dr. Medini, President Mayo. Hello. How are you guys this evening?
I'm good.
You can stay. Just so you know, I graduated from Texas Tech. They have a great program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
My husband has one of those jackets.
From Arizona.
Texas. You were just trying to get a rise out of me. Sorry. It's just cool to see the jackets because I grew up seeing that all the time.
All right, so Ron, would you like to start?
Okay. Just, your reports, you always introduce something new that I don't understand.
That's what teachers do.
So this, and I, in my talk with Dr. Remendini, I asked a bunch of these questions, but, like on the Galileo report, where you have your quadrants there, with your dot, splatter diagram. What I can understand the proficiency one, but measuring growth is what I couldn't get my head wrapped around. Is how you measure growth. I understand the basic concept of what growth would be, but how, as far as measuring that, can you?
Sure. Okay, so, and actually, we want to see, proficiency obviously is really important, but we want to see the growth. We want it, so the kids, when they grow, they go side to side, proficiency obviously goes up. So we want to see them as the year goes through, the growth go up. We want to see their proficiency grow, and we want to see that their scores are increasing from one benchmark to the next. So for us, and that's why when we were looking at them, and when you said, like, this is a whole new thing. So when I sat down with the principals and I sat down with the teachers, like, what is the information that you use the most often, that's the most helpful to you, and will be the most helpful to the board? And this is the report that they use most often. If you hover, you can hover over a dot and you can actually see the student and who it is and how much growth they made. And so it's really good to see, and the kids actually love it. They get awards for the growth. They can see this, they can measure, like, where'd you go from one time to the next. So it's just a really good way to see that they are moving in the right direction. So we want to see them moving. You want to see more on the right side than on the left side, obviously, because the kids have made positive growth from the last benchmark test.
But I guess, like I said, proficiency, we get so many answers correct, and we got that. But how do you transfer from answers correct to growth?
So let's say last time you got a cut score, well, I don't want to use up random cut scores, but let's say we'll just use a 100 as your basis. So let's say one time you take it and you get 40 right, but the next time you take it, you get 60 right. Well, there's your growth. So you've moved that way. You've gotten more correct.
Okay.
And then I think like the top quadrant is the proficiency.
Correct. So going up moves their proficiency, going side to side is your growth. And the state is not just looking for proficiency. Obviously, we want them to be proficient. But the state is also looking for growth. How are your kids moving? And this is what we use to see what kids are moving, how fast they're moving, where areas they need help in. So if they're not showing growth, those are the kids that we're doing interventions. And the interventions are working because they're moving more than they were last year. Like, we're showing more growth than we were last year.
Okay, I get that. And I understand that you want them to continue growing, but somewhere or another, they have to answer enough questions right to pass.
Correct.
So that's, anyway. Yeah.
Well, and as you go out through the year, for example, like we're not testing them on everything yet.
Yeah.
So they're not quite proficient because they haven't gotten everything yet. So as they grow, you're growing because you're getting more information, so you're growing. And now, as you have all that you need, you should now go into proficient.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. The math, I don't know what the secret is with the math department there, but it seems to have the best.
They are moving fast. So the answer there is, number one, good teaching, and number two, we're doing a lot of interventions. We're doing very targeted interventions. We are putting these kids in small groups. Like, for example, Mr. Duvikas is even working. Like today, he had 3 kids that he was working with specifically on specific targeted areas, not just like, hey, we need to improve our math skills. It's you need to improve this math skill. And he was just working with these kids. So we're really targeting kids and making sure that they're getting exactly what they need. We're doing after school tutoring, we're doing working lunches. I mean, any spare minute that we can use, we are taking advantage of.
Okay, good. No, okay, I'll pass on.
All right. Susan, do you have any other comments or questions?
It was a lot of information, and I appreciate it. I mean, I'm a data person, so I like seeing the data. I especially like seeing the data when it gets in that top quadrant over there. So there was some of that, so that was really good. And just obviously the spelling bee we're really excited about. That was fun. I saw the student council notes. That's exciting. They're going to go to downtown Phoenix for an event. That's
Next
going to be
week.
really fun. And they get to meet kids from all over.
Yes.
That's what's cool. I mean, just, yeah, the Web Center, the Grand Canyon, that was so fun. I got to go with my kids too, and it was a great event. Just the whole thing. And I don't know how different it was when he did it for, the general public, but
I went to that one.
You did?
It was wonderful, yeah.
So he geared it towards the kids too, and that made it really a great experience for them. And just for me to hear about Pete McBride, that was his name. I had to think about it. And then donating the book to the kids, that's really cool too.
Yeah, so every kid that goes on the trip will get a free book. And I think it's autographed even.
Yeah, he did. He autographed it. It's awesome. And then, I don't know, are there any kids doing the spring musical from Vulture Peak? I don't remember.
I haven't heard anything about spring musical right now. Because we only had one student who was in the fall play, and I don't know if she's doing the musical. She is in choir at the school, so maybe she will.
She is. I know who you're talking about. Okay. Yes, she is in the musical. Okay, fun. Well, yes, great report. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Sandy?
Okay, well, Susan took 3/4, so let me see what I have left here. Girls basketball, 5-1, that's
I know,
great.
and I was leaving right as they were coming out today, so I don't know if they won or not. So they did? Okay. Hallelujah.
Great.
So we will be in the playoffs next week. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, we're really excited about that. Yeah, the girls are doing good. I figured they had one because the girls, they were smiling as they walked out.
Smiling as they walked out.
Yeah, so I thought, I bet we won.
And then, of course, the Speak Up, Stand Up, Save a Life. I just think that's a great program, and I'm excited to see that going on. And also finance, because I do think that that is something that is lacking, terribly lacking with, either parents teaching their kids about finance or finance classes. And it's so important. So I'm glad to see we're getting it started and that we're continuing it on at the high school. Very excited about that. That you had no violations from the fire department. That was
I know,
great.
I'm very happy.
And I just feel as if there are a multitude of opportunities for these kids to come in for tutoring, before school, after school, during school, whatever. And if they're failing, it's their own fault.
And that's exactly right. We are calling parents if they're failing. We are, we have tutoring after school, please,
So I believe there's lots of opportunities there for these kids to do better, and it's up to them to go for those opportunities. And my only other comment is I'm sorry to see that the biggest discipline is lack of respect. But that's our
well, and
society in
you have to
general,
understand there's a lot of things that go under that. So that could be not raising your hand. That could be that there's a lot of pieces that go under that. So, but definitely, yes, something we're working on.
But it's better than it being drugs.
well, yes, definitely.
There's a lot of worse things it could be.
I just wish people had more respect.
I agree with you.
You good, Sandy?
I'm good. I think I cleared it up.
They got them all. I'm done. No, not really. Good report, Anne Marie. Good detail on the campus updates, the with organizations and clubs. And I like the reports that each of your teachers did for their classes and all that stuff. And then letting us know about how the kids in schools participating with the community. It was really good. And I'm really glad to see you're working with parent involvement.
Yes.
That's one thing that I think all the schools are lacking. And I don't know what it's going to take, pulling the parents and stuff like that. But it's a good start to working on it. So good report.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, they did leave me one thing. I was
Oh.
hoping, I was like, Randy, please don't say it. I finally get to ask something. So, the National Junior Honor Society, how many applications did you actually see come back? Do you know yet?
I do not know. I have not been at school for the last almost 2 weeks. I was out of town, and then so they were due last Monday. Yeah, she knew I was gone. I was at a conference, so it was amazing. But I don't know how many were turned in yet, but we'll be going through those.
Good. Okay. And then my other thing is, one thing, and I know it's so new, but it would have been nice to have a little tidbit in here about our SRO, introducing him in here, and then letting him know that he's going to be expected like Officer Joe does for us. He submits stuff to Mr. Gorman
Okay.
and puts it in here, just a couple of things, whatever.
Okay.
Because I like seeing it, you know, to get the involvement. And to go with what Randy was saying about the schools, it's actually the parents. The schools are trying to get the parents involved, but the parents are resisting. Some don't have time, you know, but we just like to get more of them in there. And then the last thing I have is your dots.
My dots?
For your data and all that
Yes.
stuff. I had worked so hard, Anne-Marie. I followed the directions. I hovered right over the dot and I couldn't get any names up.
Me neither.
You tried too?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
Doesn't happen.
I thought I was the only,
I'm happy to do a live demonstration if you would like.
no, that's okay. I totally understand and I know why they're not up here. I am.
I laughed.
So keep drinking. You'll give it after a while. All right, but anyway, great report. I really appreciate the magnitude of information that was in there. Kept me busy a while, besides the dots.
Can I ask you one more question?
Oh, boy. Yes.
No, I was just curious about, you was talking about all the tutoring programs and everything that you have. Do you have any, like, pushback from some of the parents or anything, or is everybody cooperating pretty well?
What do you mean by pushback? Like parents that don't want their kids to come? It's all
or
voluntary.
just, they, or they don't, or kids don't attend because the parents not necessarily don't want them to, they just don't, see the importance of it or something.
We haven't had any of that. Usually if we've called parents and we recommend it and they are not able, they don't come, it's usually because of transportation, because we don't provide the transportation. So that's usually that's the only holdup and the problem we've had. But parents have been very open to it. They've been very appreciative. Like I even have one parent that drives from Whitman to come pick up her son. So she's very appreciative of it. So as far as pushback, we haven't had anybody like, my kid's not going. It's usually like, I would love them to, but.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good report, and thank you so much, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Our next report is the Wickenburg High School Principal, Mr. Mark Gorman. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Malio, members of the board, Dr. Amandini. Thanks for having me here tonight.
You bet. Thanks for joining the party.
And I want to thank the rest of our admin team for being here too.
You know, I would too. I really do. I noticed that they came in and nobody had a ball and chain on it, so they kind of willingly came in.
That's right. And they definitely play a role in putting this together, even though it's something I come up and present on. I can attribute much of what goes on to, again, most probably across our campus, but they have a big role in it too. So.
They do too.
So thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And thanks for being here.
You want me to go first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was very excited to see the growth in student population. We've grown, that's great. And obviously, the number of Fs and students failing is no bueno. I don't like seeing that's like a fifth, almost a fourth of the population of this high school with Fs right now. That's really not good. But I hope to see how we're going to remedy that a little bit in the future. And I'm excited to see the survey results when they come in. I loved that Officer Joe gave fentanyl awareness. That's amazing and so needed right now. I also enjoy seeing all about all the different organizations and the students' involvement in all those different organizations and the sports and the rifle team and FCCLA, FFA, and FBLA are great. And students involved in cleaning up the grounds. That was really cool. I love that students are volunteering to help out around campus.
Yes.
My favorite thing, obviously, was Future Freshman Night because I have a future freshman and I'm very excited about it. And it really was a great night, even though it downpoured, and I luckily did not have to get soaking wet because it stopped right as we were leaving, and we got there before it was really bad. So, but it was a crazy night, but it was good to see all of the staff, teachers, and student involvement in Future Freshman Night. If you don't know, those of you that don't know, it's a time for rising freshmen to come onto campus and to meet and learn about all these different organizations that they could be a part of, and to meet their guidance counselor that they're going to have for the next 4 years, and to hear about all the classes that they can sign up for and register for. And the CTE programs that we're doing next year are amazing. I'm excited for all the different opportunities that our students have for that. So I wanted to thank you guys, all of you that were involved, and especially the teachers and the sponsors of the different programs that came to help out, because there was a lot. It takes a lot to put on that kind of event. And even though there weren't as many freshmen there because of that, because it was a lot of fun.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and that's everything I had. That was a lot.
And it was a crazy rainy night. I mean, the drive was
And windy,
oh
and
my
the
gosh.
thunder, and yeah.
Dark and just pouring.
Yeah.
Did you get rid of the donkey out there?
And no donkeys
Yeah,
on
I'm
the way
done.
there. Thank
Thank
goodness.
Well, that's
Thanks
all we
for-
have.
thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah. Let's move on.
I took all the good stuff. You're welcome.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Hi.
My question, of course, these Fs, is it because they can't learn or because they don't care?
There's always a mix of both. There's those can't
Right.
do's versus won't do's, and there's definitely a challenge when they get to the high school where they're taking an algebra class, and there's certain standards that they need to meet in those courses, whether that be algebra, English, or whatever that is, where where they struggle, and sometimes they'll get into that hole early, and it's tough to dig back out of. I do feel like things were trending up with those Fs. We did implement some intervention to try to curb that, but for some of them, it's dug and embedded pretty deep, and it's tough to get out of. Now, what those numbers don't show sometimes are those that do have Fs but qualify for CRBO as an example. So we have some that that anybody that's from 50 to 60% or under 60 can qualify for that, and they can bring those up. So, those numbers are final numbers as of December, whatever the date was, 21st, I think it was, we let out. And so a significant number of those students would qualify for CRBO if they, again, are in that range. And sometimes that's the push, is almost to get them to that point so they have an opportunity still to get credit.
So when they have these Fs, is it like you cited Algebra 1, which is new to a lot of the kids. But do they have numerous Fs, or do they have like B's and C's and then one F, or are we talking? And the reason I say this is because so often when I'm reading the letters of suspension students and stuff, 4 out of their 5 grades are Fs.
Yeah.
So this is why, is it we're failing one class, or are we failing lots of classes?
there is some of what you're describing right there, where there are students that have 3, 4, 5 Fs. And so a significant number of those that you see there, are attributed to a handful of students where there's just a lot of failing that's happening to them. But there are those on the other end of that where it's just, they were failing a class. They failed one. So, it's on both sides of that. Where kids are really experiencing struggles again are coming into math, their freshman level math class, Algebra 1, and then Algebra 3 is a challenging one for them as well. So when it comes to math, we get a lot of failures there. Often in that case, it's not necessarily a can't or a won't do, but it's a can't do. There's other situations though where they just make choices where no matter what we're doing or throwing at them, they're making a decision to not meet us in the middle sort of on those two. And so it's a little bit of a challenge, and trying to find that motivation for them is kind of the angle that we've got to take on that. And we've been running intervention this year. Like we did last year, we've twisted it a little bit to make it fit what we thought would be better in terms of working on the Fs as well as working on bringing up the level of proficiency. With math specifically at the freshman and sophomore level, pulling those kids out of those English classes and working in those small groups. There's not as much motivation maybe as it had last year, where we were allowing them to go to lunch a little longer if they had that time. And so, there's a little bit of that balance there that, we go back and forth on this, how do we continue to provide the carrot for them while we're trying to push them along at the same time, so.
No, a lot of that, you gotta care. You have to want to get the help and want to get better. Okay, I'll get off of that wagon. My only other comment is, I really think for as small as our school is, we have so many wonderful programs. And, just seeing the FFA group here and listening to their excitement and their experiences and stuff. I mean, there are so many programs for all different interests and stuff that I can't imagine you can't find something to motivate you.
Yeah, they're a perfect example. Those are some awesome students, number one.
Right.
Work hard, are invested in that. They've got an interest, though, and finding that definitely can be one avenue to do what you just described, and that's to reduce the number of Fs. I feel like JAG has been another one. Yes. I think without that, we'd probably be looking at a lot more Fs than what we're looking at right now. 100% of the kids passed all their courses that were in a JAG class last semester. That's almost 50 kids that could be struggling, that often did struggle, that are now passing classes. So,
I think JAG
we need to probably somehow figure out how we can add JAG classes. I don't know, something that helps them get that, get that to more kids than what we.
I think JAG's been a fantastic program for a lot of kids.
I know we harp on JAG and AG a lot, but it's those kind of things I think that do what you're talking about. They help to get kids interested in something,
right?
See beyond high school, and then also get them excited about being in high school.
Right. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say tonight.
Okay, Mark, good report as usual, good detail through everything. And you just touched a little bit on what, I'm most proud of, that I think the JAG program is just top notch. It's great. I saw this part in here about the financial planning activities and things. I think that, I look back and I wish every single student would have to go through some kind of financial planning, whatever it might be, get into the world of out there working, see so many of these kids today in sales and things like that, and I just stump my head when I see them trying to count money and things like that, and just to figure out how are these kids going to get by in today's world.
Yeah.
I think this part of financial planning with the JAG thing is fantastic.
That was a fun activity too. I was there, and I didn't realize I was going to be actually part of that, but I was going to be down there, and then they gave me my job, and so it was a lot of fun. So, and it's great for the kids. This is the second year we've done that, and hopefully that'll just become a regular, embedded piece for our students as they turn senior and they have that opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. Keep it up. Keep going. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the formatting of your report, but it's easy to follow and has a lot of good detail. Kind of going back to Sandy's topic on the grades. The kids that having problems, can you attribute any of that to specifically coming in to high school, being behind, coming out of middle school?
There's definitely that, and it's something that we've got to try to figure out how to get in front of. I was talking with one of our math teachers the other day who was testing kids, and we were looking at those levels, and even today testing their, a couple of grade levels in some cases behind where they should be in terms of being in ninth grade. So it's an issue that we have to figure out how we resolve that, because we need kids that are learning the content at the grade level that they need to, let's take Algebra 1, where they're all coming in and taking Algebra 1, and every one of them, whether they came in with a level of ninth grade or 11th grade or back in 6th grade, are plugged into that. But if your level is 6th grade, you're fighting an uphill battle. And so, that was part of bringing on our intervention class this year, and we only have one. We talked about how we could really probably run 4 or 5 intervention classes, and we're just talking one content area here, because there is that struggle. It's one of those things where that's the reality. I don't think we're on an island that it's just us. I think that's a problem that people are running into across the state, but it's one that we have to address. And that's our thinking right now, is as we look at that, we've got to run some different formats with our algebra classes, maybe even beyond that. So kids are, if they're identified, maybe have blocks or have interventions that run parallel. Because what I see going on in intervention, just through my observations, sitting in an intervention, jumping over and observing a math class, there's support there that's happening along the way. It's just there's too little of it. We need more of that that's going on too, and that's tough though, because it comes down to having space.
And like you said, we're just talking about math, but you have ELA and science and everything else, all of that they come in behind in. So
right. Math is always one that's easy to go back to, because it all builds. In ELA, a lot of the things that they do freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, they build upon one another, but it's some of the same concepts. Right. It's just getting deeper, or maybe being more, maybe it's just a different genre or something like that, but they're just, looking at a little better writing or more difficult reading, but in math, it's really building as they go through.
Yeah,
So.
and those that come in, that come in behind, I just can't imagine the frustration of, them trying to, we're going to class and they have no idea what been talked about. Yeah, so, okay, and on your math department there, for algebra, you said that those that, struggled the first semester, they're going to have that semester over again now.
We have some that yes, were identified that did not pass the first semester class.
Right.
And then rather than pushing forward, they moved back and have started, again, first semester, second semester.
Okay, so my question, Ben, is that, so they're redoing the first semester, algebra is a year course. When are they doing the second semester of it?
Well, there's a couple of different possibilities. One would be it's one less that they would have to take their sophomore year. So they could then jump forward and do that. There's depending on what our offerings would be for summer school, there has been that possibility. Right now, that's looking to be a WVA option where they could take it online there. But for the most part, unless we have a summer school option, it's going to be working alongside maybe another math class their sophomore year.
So during the second half of algebra at that point?
Correct.
Okay. All right, good. Your future freshman night, I was surprised to see that you had people from Surprise and Waddell.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, there's, and most of them are either they're sending their student up to us from those areas, but one in particular was actually moving to Congress. So they have a student who's a 8th grader now who's going to be a freshman next year, and they're moving up.
Okay, because Waddell, I mean, gosh, that's surprising too far down the road here, you know, but Waddell, that's way over there.
Yeah,
I was thinking, the parent must be working in Wickenburg or something that haul them all the way up here. No, okay. All right, great. That's all I have.
All right. So they took everything. They really, I really liked seeing all of the departments submit information to you and whatnot. Appreciate everything that you and your administration does, as well as all your staff. So that's all I can say. They took everything. Great report, great detail. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. Third but not last is our Director of Wickenburg Virtual Academy, Mrs. Colleen Peterson. Is this something I said?
Good evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Peterson. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Wonderful.
It's good to see you.
See you too. All right. Randy, you didn't get to start any of them yet. This one?
Sure.
Okay.
Colleen, you nailed it right here on this about the discipline. This is one thing that's always worried about me, about the virtual academy, about students that find it a way out to not participate, have their academics low and all that. I would like to see that there's taken some action on the discipline for that. I know, it's probably a very small portion of it, but I know that's what a lot of students figure, well, I don't have to go to school, I can just get away doing this at home.
Right.
Then they don't do so.
Right, exactly.
I love seeing that in there. Very good. That's all I got.
Thank you.
All right. Sandy?
I really didn't have much except other than the fact that all their passing grades like math and science and English, not social studies, that went down. But
yeah, that was an anomaly to us too.
yeah, how can you mess up social studies? But I was happy to see that there's been a higher percentage of the kids passing. You said you have more kids from the 6th through 8 interested in online classes?
Yes, our numbers for that age group have definitely gone up this year.
Because for 6th grade, I see 0.
0. Well, we had one and he moved in November.
Oh.
Our 8th grade population definitely has increased. And for the most part, majority of them are doing okay. Compared to last year, our 6th through 8th graders did not do well at all. So different group of kids and they're doing better.
What about the 1 4th grader and 1 5th grader?
Yeah, so those are new to us this semester, and it's been a learning curve for me as well because the platform is the same, but they have one teacher and they actually have workbooks where they have to fill out the workbooks and submit them as PDFs. And so I'm learning right along with those two how they navigate their curriculum and what that looks like from a student and a parent. And it's been a fun challenge for me, actually. So to be determined how well they do.
How well they do. Okay.
Yeah.
That was really my only comment. I was glad to see the increase in this passing, and that's 2 of those students from 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Susan?
Bless you.
Bless you.
So did the concurrent students increase?
A little
this
bit.
semester?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I kind of thought that.
And that happens when most of the time they're seniors and they're off by 1 or 2 classes, and we're like, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity. It's in your hands as to whether you can carry that full load and do these additional classes to make it to the finish line in time. And if they don't, they can take a summer school class. We had 2 finish up in summer school last year and another finish up in the fall that were WHS students that didn't quite make it. So that's usually where we see our increase in the spring with our concurrent students.
Yeah, I really didn't have any comments. I mean, I know there's not a lot for you to talk about, but yeah, and I mean, seeing the kids in the lab is always a good thing. So.
Mm-hmm.
Ron?
Excuse me. No. Swallowed wrong. Your analysis of your block schedule here, it looked like it went well, except
Yes.
for algebra.
Mm-hmm. And we monitored and adjusted, and we'll see how that goes this semester. But as a staff, we felt like this seems to be something that's more effective academically for our students. So we're excited so far.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that
Mm-hmm.
happen. So, but that's really all I had.
Yeah, that block scheduling, I was gonna mention that. First time I ever heard that terminology, because really not in education except for this role.
Sure.
And we had it presented to us at Mr. Streeter had presented to us at the teacher thing that we had at luncheon. And it was very interesting. And it didn't really jump off the ground and take off there. So I was glad to see this. And glad to see it's working. Glad to hear it's working. And then to bring back to what Sandy talked about, well, and Ron too, the block scheduling. I like with the grades is what I meant.
Right, yeah.
It was a plus for that. My question on the 6th to 8th grade, are those like local kids here, or are they like from another part?
No, all of them are within our district, within our community. We're limited on how many we can accept. So we've had a couple of inquiries from students outside of our district, but because we're at capacity with what we've paid for, we haven't accepted those students. And there was like 2 of them throughout the year.
Okay. And then so the ones that we've got in here that you've identified by the number, obviously, would they be doing their whole day there, or are they doing some of this online and coming into wherever their campus would be?
So they won't attend a campus at all. We have some in Festival, we have some from Vulture Peak, and they're exclusively at home. There has to be an adult in the home that's their academic coach that kind of is supposed to be working with them. The only time that they'll see a school is for state testing. So the Festival students will go to that campus for state testing, and Vulture Peak will come to our lab for their state testing.
Got it.
And, the Festival and Anne Marie, they both have provided the opportunity for those students if they wanted to participate in extracurricular activities and sports and things like that. But so far, none of them have taken us up on that offer, which is fine. There's other reasons why they're online. Some of them travel, some of them have health issues, so that's okay that they don't do that, but that is available for them.
Oh, good. I need to know that, so that's the better part. Well, great. And very good report.
She made a comment that I have a question about.
Now that he can
Sorry, Joe, but no, you mentioned we were at capacity because that was what we paid for. Is that software license that we paid for, or what?
Correct. So they call them seats through the curriculum provider that we use, Edgenuity. You pay for a seat, and a seat is a 0.5 class. Well, in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they don't do credits, but it's a semester.
Okay.
And so we purchase X amount, we anticipate what we need for the semester, and we pay that in July. And we monitor and adjust throughout the year. We've actually had to increase it this year because we've had more 6th through 8th graders, and we're at capacity with what we had offered to the high school students already. So we have to share it between 6th and 12th grade, those numbers, those seats that we purchase. And so when we get to a certain point, we're at capacity unless there's an extreme situation that we need to accommodate for.
Yeah. It just never dawned on me that, we were paying, I should have known, it's all software, you gotta pay for it somewhere, but, it just never occurred to me that we were paying per seat. Okay, thank you.
So is it just a budgeting thing why we wouldn't add more seats at that point?
That's part of it, but the other part is the way the curriculum is set up. So like, for example, we got a call this week that a parent wanted to enroll their 8th grade student. Well, the curriculum doesn't allow you to monitor and adjust it. So that student would start today and have everything from January to May to get done from now to May. So at some point it becomes too top heavy for them to be successful. So we also kind of have a threshold in which we say it's not best for you academically to transfer to us online. And so that's the other component.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next item of business is call to the public. I don't see anybody that's not part of the district except for one, but it's kind of part of the district.
Yeah.
So we skip over that one. And I do have a question for you. I don't want to ask why, but I do. The 2-year cost of. Let me invest there. Okay. Okay. All right, so the secrets are over. So anybody need anything pulled from the consent agenda? I do have one item that I'm going to be pulling.
Is it Q?
I'll tell you right now what that is. Yeah, did you hear me? Was I that loud?
No, but I understood what you were saying.
Yes. So I'm going to pull item Q from the consent agenda, and that one has to do with the athletic participants' fees.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items minus item Q for date February 20, 2024 as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And Mr. Monosmith, if you can approach the little box here. I wanted your first time here to be meaningful. And I don't want to catch you off guard, but this is your topic, and I think you came here prepared for it. Simple question.
Sure.
In the request for the participation fee increase, you do mention a time duration of 2 years.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to know, is that, we won't know this right this minute, probably, maybe you do, does it feel like it could be sustainable that we would be able to lift that 2-year thing and go back where we were? That stuff usually doesn't happen in economic structures.
So you're saying after that 2-year plan, then go back
Right.
to what we are currently?
Or are you saying year 2 is what we go to long term?
Year 2 is what we stick with.
Got it.
Yeah, there was 2 school of thoughts. It was just do a big increase and rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And then, have the public, or do a 2-year plan and year 1, cry from and then the year 2, another, oh no, he's raising,
Okay.
So we felt that this would be less of a shock, a sticker shock,
Right.
if we present it well to the public and, have the numbers behind it.
Good. No, I mean, perfect. And I was hoping that's what I was going to see, and I didn't think to ask that earlier. It dawned on me as I was sitting here. It's like, I wonder. So I really appreciate that. obviously support that.
Of course, you start and I causes a question and
I always leave it at a good point for you, Ron. I segue in for you.
Well, my question, Ben, is that, are you going to advertise this 2-year plan to the public, or are you going to just go, okay, this year it's gonna be this, next year?
No, if the board approves it, then we would advertise it as a 2-year plan.
Okay, okay. And the explanation you gave, somewhere in there, I read it about the coming in and being in the hole.
Yeah.
And how you can get out of it, that helps with that. So,
hopefully, yeah, I mean, that's the idea.
well, it helps with the explanation, and it also helps with you getting out of the financial hole. But anyway, okay, that was my question, is it going to be, like, we approve it and you give an article to the newspaper and they publish it, kind of thing.
It'll probably be in multiple places, a website.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I may add to that, we'll work with Mr. Montesmith and the high school team to communicate that out sooner rather than later and how that's presented, because the justification that Mr. Montesmith provided to the governing board is obviously a public document, but sometimes that doesn't translate well into the letter to athletes and to update the athletic handbooks. So I know Mr. Montesmith did a lot of work to do some comparison about other districts, and we are well below what everybody else charges, and that's why we're finding some financial strains right now. We need to get, we'll still be below a lot of our neighboring districts and everything, so we'll still take care of our community.
Yeah, and I appreciate the letter, the analysis and everything that you published here.
That was very helpful.
Joe.
Oh, Sandy? Oh, go ahead first. Because I got to get ready for my next segue for Ron.
I actually have 2 questions.
Sure.
Number 1, qualifying student in need versus full paying student. What would you say the percentage is?
This year, we've probably had, I don't know anything, in the past. I'm just going by what I know this year. I've probably had maybe 6 students, and they can fill out a form. And then I get with somebody down here at district to let me know, yes, they do qualify for free and reduced, so we give them that break.
So basically, the majority of our students are paying the full price?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that was question number 1. Question number 2, do we have a family pass?
Family pass for the season
Like the
pass?
season spectator passes? Because previously, reading the thing, it was $25, but 4 for $80. So that was a discount, which to me was like a family pass.
Sure. That is something that we can maybe look at a later date and add, have that discussion of what that looks like. So yes, I am open to coming up with something for the season pass.
So I guess this is 3 questions. So looking at our season passes that we sell versus individual people just paying as they go in the door, do we sell a lot of passes, or do most people just pay as they go?
Good question. I don't have those numbers.
Oh, okay.
I could find that out for you. But I would say majority pay at the door.
Except they can't pay at the door.
What's that?
Except they can't pay at the door.
Or you scan a QR code
Yeah.
or whatever. it
Yeah,
is.
we've set something up where we do the QR code, they pay online, and then also we do have, they can pay like a
At the
credit
door.
card as well.
Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
That's what I was going to add to the communication about the participation fees if they pass tonight, is include that in there again, because my best friend's social media had let us know that we are not friendly when we let people into our stadiums. We don't want them to go in our stadiums apparently because they can't use cash. So we need to reiterate that. We knew that, a lot of people knew that, but some people don't, and some people still won't, but at least we can try again.
Yeah, I mean, we
You
don't
know.
make it a big deal,
I know.
if they're like, oh, yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
It's not like, nope, you got to leave.
Right.
So, I mean, I can count on one hand how many.
Right, exactly, but it's just helpful. I think more is better sometimes.
Exactly, I agree.
But Randy, anybody else have anything? Ron, what did you have for him?
I'm ready for baseball.
Oh, there we go. All
And
right.
softball.
Oh, we got the Chicago Cubs going here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. It hurt on the way up, but that's okay. But anyway, Mr. Mono-Smith, thank you so much. Appreciate the information.
You bet.
And now we can entertain a motion for that piece, item Q.
I'll make a motion to improve the increase of Wickenburg High School athletic participation fees for the 2024-2025 school year and the 2025-2026 school year as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
All right.
We got to do that more often. We have to pick one of these things every meeting, to have the person here.
Time.
Yeah,
How's that?
that was not planned. When I saw him walk in the door, it's like, okay, I gotta get him.
No, but I mean,
Really? Okay, so now we get to hear from our outgoing Director of Business Services.
Our favorite kind of thing.
Yeah. We get to hear from Mrs. Erin Johnson about our approval of financial reports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Amandini. As you can see, you've got your monthly report in front of you, and we are still trending very well as we have been all year. Our expenditures are right in line where I would assume they would be at this time of year. Our budget balances are positive. We are in compliance. Retreats, you talked about wanting to have a little information on any expenditures that were over 10,000 that are like a one-time fee, not under a contract or a utility bill or something like that. So in voucher 2463, there was an expense in Fund 526 that was over $10,000, and that was to the AIA, and that was for fees and referee pay. So other than that, there weren't any.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
The one that says auxiliary?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have anything for James, that you got that part, that one part? We're in compliant.
I was well instructed today about the 3 things that are required.
Perfect. I knew you'd come in good hands. You're leaving in good hands. All right.
All right.
Hearing nothing, we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Items for future agendas.
Well, Ron mentioned this, having someone come speak about potentially, depending on the Kids Ed agenda, if there's a question or concern. Do you want to have that be something we talk about doing?
that part that I was talking about, I think I was thinking more in the line of, rather than us discussing it at that point, is, the principals, staff, and Dr. Umini, talk to the attorney, just kind of get that going first, and then bring it, then bring it here, and then we can talk about it as far as the policy change.
Oh.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so I think there was.
Are we talking about
Matt,
different things?
I think so.
Could we clarify that?
You had
Yeah.
just, I think Ms. Webster was talking about having the item that was pulled from consent agenda. And Mr. Monosmith speaking was very helpful to the board. And you were talking about the policy that we
I was
are
talking about a
working
different-
on.
different-
Yes.
I was talking about a different
Yes,
thing.
I think, is that
Okay.
Because
correct?
she had mentioned something in
Yeah.
the report,
Oh.
Yeah.
so that was what I was talking about.
Okay.
But the other thing about,
Yeah,
I just thought that was very helpful and
it was.
good to have, the report,
Great.
talk about it.
I also enjoy having the students come speak about how they do at events. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to find
That
more
was
groups
great.
to do this.
Okay. We actually we don't have a presentation in March, but we already have one for April and May planned. So not
Awesome.
necessarily kid-related, but
Right.
through the cycle of the year. And I can be a little more specific. I did invite Mr. Monosmith here, assuring him that his item would not be pulled off the consent agenda. But he was prepared and ready to go, so we'll make sure that
Very
that
good.
continues to happen. And he
That's
did an
Joe's fault.
amazing job of answering questions.
That was my whispering. We don't like to do surprises like that, but I thought, oh, this one's pretty doggone easy, and you were way well prepared. So, so let's see, we've got our announcements and our calendars. And again, Casey, thank you so very much for all that work and time you put into doing that for us. And I guess we can move on to item number 7. Seems a very popular one for us.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh,
We are adjourned at 6:48.
Thank you.
thank you.
So what,
Oh, and